And so it goes on. We begin with chief political correspondent Carl Cameron live in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, one of my favorite places, Carl. So the candidates are back on the trail, as we said, after this weekend's debate. What is going on today?
A lot of positioning. Donald Trump has a very full campaign day here in South Carolina, and he's just announced that he'll have a news conference this afternoon at 2 o'clock, which indicates that he has not just something to say, but he wants a lot of attention. Not new for Donald Trump, but it is new in South Carolina, and it comes on the same day that Jeb Bush will have his brother, the former President George W. Bush, on the campaign trail this evening. Trump has come under some criticism here in South Carolina for having said that President George W. Bush lied about weapons of mass destruction in the Iraq War, and Donald Trump, would have supported the impeachment of the former president. George W. Bush remains fairly popular among Republicans here in South Carolina, so that kind of criticism could cost Donald Trump. And you can bet Jeb Bush would like very much to make that point. Both of them have been sparring back and forth, and while Trump doesn't have an event for a little while, he's already been tweeting that Jeb had to bring his mom out in New Hampshire and now his brother out in South Carolina, as though that's a bad thing. In South Carolina, it may not be. It looks as though Jeb's getting a fair amount of attention in advance of it for exactly that reason. Heather?
Yeah, what did we do in a campaign before tweeting? So what about Senators CRUZ and RUBIO, Carl?
Most of the time we threw the faxes out before tweeting and before all this internet campaigning that they're doing. Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz are locked in a particularly tough battle. Ted Cruz finds himself in a squeeze. He's running second to Donald Trump here in South Carolina, but he's still in a big battle with Marco Rubio. And he, too, is still talking about what happened in the debate the other night. It was just a festival of attacks and criticisms and calling one another liars. And here's how Cruz sort of phrases and frames what both Trump and Rubio, in his view, are doing.
It really is an amazing thing that both Marco Rubio and Donald Trump, whenever anyone points to their actual record, they have this strange practice of just screaming liar.
Cruz this morning suggested that Donald Trump's numbers are coming down, an attempt perhaps to suppress some of his support in this state. As for Marco Rubio, he recognizes that the performance in New Hampshire was a disappointment and that South Carolina is going to be a battlefield. It's worth remembering that back in 2000, when George W. Bush won the South Carolina primary, it was considered at that time a particularly nasty race for a lot of the stuff that was sort of underhanded and under the windshield wiper flyers and allegations between himself and John McCain. We are already approaching that level of hostility, and we still got 5 days left. Heather?
Yeah, you think? Carl Cameron live for us. Thank you, Carl.
Well, certainly.